a cold day today. I thought it was about 0 degrees, but apparently it was -10. But very pretty. The beautiful bare trees, all the branches shown and all covered in white, and a layer, a frosting. Actually very beautiful, and clear blue skies, lovely sunshine, and as long as you're wrapped up warm, it's still a beautiful experience. Now we talk about these physical bodies as being vessels, and it's a very good expression, or a very good label, you could say. If you look at sort of films, you'll see, I don't even know what the terminology is, but the one with the ship's wheel, they will correct the course, turn the wheel slightly one way, because obviously you have a flow with the current. So the word Titanic, for example, and I'm sure many of you have gone down that particular rabbit hole and funnel counting and all the rest of it, and all the details about whether it was or whether it wasn't. But Titanic, I see antics. I see the same antics and the same semantics, you could say. Let's talk about ghosts. Now, mention the word ghost, and I should imagine a lot of people will picture some sort of humanoid figure, probably from 19th century, and they sort of walk on an invisible floor and maybe go through a solid wall. That's not the only type of ghost, of course, but what about those ones in your minds? The ones that are, because those sort of ghosts that some people see, not everybody sees them, but they're connected with the past. So what about the ghosts in the minds, the things that you keep alive by bringing them back from memory, not letting them go, not addressing the issues? So a perfect example of this would be the school bully. Maybe you were the sort of victim, as it were, of a school bully, or somebody playing that sort of role. But of course, that was many, many years ago, and the only reason that is actually kept alive is because you keep the memory alive. So, a further example of this, what is a ghost? Well, if we break the word down, it's a G-host. G is for Gaia, the Earth. So it's something attached or associated with Earth. That is the host. So if have got to the point in your spiritual path where you can accept and maybe even have experienced that imagination creates reality, where you focus your attention is where your energy is going to go. So coming back to being like the vessel, it's all about correcting your course, looking both sides, because we can use the Titanic analogy as a journey through life, because you're in a flow, you're in a current, and of course there are many icebergs, and if you go charging into things, you could hit a proverbial iceberg and you will start to sink. You could think of it as the baggage that we carry, the baggage that we accumulate and hold in the mind will gradually you'll start falling and sinking into and drowning in a sea of lies, as it were. So there is a prime example of if you focus your energy on a memory, you're keeping it alive. So it is your own thoughts, your own energy that is recreating and keeping alive that memory of something that was probably years and years ago and has no impact on your life whatsoever, apart from you can't let go of it. Maybe you can't forgive that school bully. Well, perfect opportunity to mention the language lessons of the heart. Michael Harrell, and look at Julia's Simplicity Revealed channel for playlists on that. Language of the Lessons of the Heart workshops, how to do it. That is time well spent. That is your true wealth. The time you are spending on things that are going to benefit you and help you be the best version of yourself. Because this reality, I think it's fair to say, has no creativity of itself. It's already been created, and the external material world will mirror and reflect that. So in the media, for example, they talk about CGI and green screens. Well, you have a natural green screen outside in nature. That is your natural green screen. And green is also the colour of the heart, while I think of it as well. I highly recommend listening to True Love channel, True Love Talks series. That may even unlock a few doors for you. I cannot help, I cannot recommend listening to what is said by Yolanda on her channel in these True Love Talks. They're basically audios. You haven't got to look. You can eliminate the visual and just sit back with your eyes closed. Sorry, this is a little bit all over the place. I will tie it all together, hopefully. So I'm sure many of you have seen that sculpture. It's like the man who's thinking, and he's like this. Well, look at the body language that when you are in thought and you're with your head forward, you're sort of pushing into the future. You're maybe getting impatient with not getting to the truth, not getting to answers, not getting to satisfactory answers that feel right to you. And that is reflected in the body language of leaning forward, trying to go forward. Whereas in meditation, it is probably better to be upright, so your ears are in line with the shoulders, in line with the hips, so you are sort of upright and open, and it's all about, same with the ship, you're centering yourself in the present moment, bring yourself back, whatever the external is displaying. Ideally, another way of doing it, like in meditation, you can relax, you can just sort of sit back, and you're basically, what you're doing, you're being the observer of a real to real reality, this green screen, and it is totally neutral. Last week, just before that Gemini full moon, I thought, okay, let's try this. I said to the universe, and I said it out loud, so I put a vibration out, a disturbance into ether, saying, give me a sign. Now, I didn't specify whether I wanted a good sign or a bad sign. What I actually got, and I'm not going to go into the details, but what I actually got was a presentation that looked horrific, potentially extremely volatile. But that is the point where, no matter what the external is showing, pull yourself back into the center, within inside yourself, in the present moment. What is going on around is still just potential, but how you respond to that, if you react from fight or flight, faint or fawn, the emotional reaction, that is coming from, shall we say, a more negative aspect. It's your lower consciousness that wants to feel safe. It wants to be in a comfort zone because it is in a situation it is totally unfamiliar with. And it doesn't feel safe because you don't know how it's going to go. This is the lower consciousness talking. But if you can come back into the center and say, okay, I'm just observing this. I'm watching a film, but I'm not being sucked in and taking part in the film. You could picture yourself in a cinema, basically, and now you're looking at the big screen and you're seeing it all presented to you. So the outcome of that experience could potentially be something horrific. And certainly it can look that way. But if you remain in the present and stay present within yourself and just observe, as I've said before in videos, there's a huge difference between time, which has this negative perception attached to it of something that disappears, something you have to try and create, something that's being stolen from you, something that is being eaten away, and I'm getting a day closer to death, as it were. And that's a very negative perception. But if you are in the present, what actually opens up is by staying neutral, because you have a green screen, this reel-to-reel green screen, which is the external world, that is also neutral. So you are tuning in to a same frequency by being neutral. Now look at the chakra system. The colour green is on the spectrum is the neutral. It's in the middle. It's the middle path. The heart center in the chakra system, that's in the middle, and it is also depicted and associated with the colour green. This reality will flip the term and say, they're very green, implying naive, without experience, easy to trick, and so on, having no understanding. I think you get the picture, the naive. So there's a reference there to divine feminine in the Eve part, but nai is a reverse of in, so it's something that is not in you at that stage, and it is denied. But you deny it because you're not open to allowing. Lana A. Labonte puts this very well they're like clouds that just let them pass through. But of course they can get stuck. So if we run with the premise of imagination creates reality, and it is by, as Neville Goddard says, it is by denying the facts that the external senses are detecting, and you are rewriting, and you are impressing upon yourself a totally different outcome by remaining neutral to it, holding true, staying on that course. So you've got the ships rudder, you're in control of your vessel, and you're heading to a promised land, as it were, is another way of saying it. You are going to make it to New York, as it were, to the Big Apple. You're not going to be sunk by an iceberg. You're not going to have this ram you, damn you approach, which that even sounds like it's not coming from the heart. Got to maintain a time schedule. But time is just a measurement, of this linear perception of these time frames. But if you can remain neutral, remain heart-centered, pull yourself back into focus, and this magic opens. But yeah, this is what I was going to say. So ghosts. You've got the ghosts of the mind. You've got the ghosts of the past. So a haunted house, for example, if you are denying that you have passed from the physical body. Your spirit has separated from material, from a physical body. It is not unlike devices where you have a battery that has gone flat, but there is a second battery just keeping the apps and things all active. It's keeping the clock running, but it needs to recharge. So imagine if you will not accept death, you've now become stuck. Your energy form has remained as a residual energy because the energy is still residing, so it's residual in this reality. It is a G host. The earth is hosting that energy. But this neutral field will match with that. Now, if you are caught off guard and not staying in the present, they can come through as voices that will talk to you. And of course, from that, you may start interacting. Now you're feeding your energy to the thing that has got your attention. Those ghosts now become even more real. So don't just see things with a singular perspective like when you hear the word ghost. They can be things we create in the mind, but the one thing they all have in common is they are kept alive or created by the energy from the focus that we give to them. You are giving away your power to something. It is harvesting your energy, basically. So this is why it is so important to do that inner work, so you don't have a door open for fear or for doubt. You are staying true to your path because you are captain of the vessel. You are also plotting a course for that vessel, and you are going with the flow. So you'll be presented possibly, well, this is what this reality is about. It will present material objects and things that are objectionable on the superficial. But if you can see round them or see through them and see them for what they really are, which are just external presentations, for you to learn to not react but respond, there is this magic that opens up, and you will see the beauty in the timing of things unfolding before you, and now it becomes a beautiful picture to witness. It is a neutral field that surrounds you, and you're wanting to be positive, but that reality will now present to you things to try and get you to match that frequency, so you are in that neutral position, so you are then able to see the positives being shown to you as well as the negatives. It's not a denial of either one or the other. In Christian terminology, it talks about Christ the Redeemer. So redeem, well, you're deeming something again, but it's an exchange. So if you're going to listen to that lower I, fight or flight, wanting to feel safe and protected and never wanting to go out of its bubble and experience anything new, that's not actually going to help you at all. It's actually keeping you in. You're going to be faced with more and more experiences that you probably wouldn't really want to go through, or certainly not with that reactionary outcome. But it is a beautiful thing when you are present and you can respond to these things and just be the observer. Watch things open up before you, and this wonder will appear. So when you redeem something, you are exchanging something. So the taking the action doesn't actually have to be physical action, because remember, this is an interaction with a non-physical neutral field. So your very thoughts and the way you feel about things and that surrender of oneself to oneself. In recent tarot card readings by Pippi on a String channel, she's mentioned about the killing of the beast. Well, it's not actually a stabbing and killing a beast. What it actually is, or my perspective it is, the beast is your lower I consciousness that is scared, like a frightened child that needs embracing, needs protecting. And of course, the more you do this, the more you recognize that internal emotional feelings that are coming up. And of course, the more you recognize them, it is now not leading you down some very awful pathways, when there is a much easier, narrow pathway that is totally neutral that you can metaphorically walk upon. And physically it will open up as well, because the physical will always follow the metaphysical. And so you start to recognize that lower I. So as you recognize it, it now longer has no power. You have effectively killed it, but you haven't actually killed it in the physical sense. It's still there, but it can't do anything, because as soon as it tries to do or say anything, you recognize it. It's not hiding in the shadows. You find it within oneself. You address it within oneself. It's your internal structure that you create from your feelings, your interaction with the central processing unit, by what you're taking in through the eyes, how you feel about things, how you weigh things up, or whether you just react to them. And that will determine whether you're going to see the beauty in the timing or the negativity of the loss of time. So language lessons of the heart workshops are essential. All the other parts are stepping stones. All these so-called rabbit holes, like the Titanic and counting number of funnels, and whether it was or wasn't the Olympic, well, that's looking into the past. Don't even concern yourself about that. If you can see that something doesn't add up with that, that's all you need to know. Because you're just going to find that same pattern. Everything that is presented to you is not what it seems. This reality is not what it would appear to be, for certain. But you can see through this veil, through this green screen, you can start to see the true power that is there to be tapped into. And as long as you're doing it in a benevolent way and remaining neutral, helping others when you can, as Julia says at the end of every one of her videos, which is a perfect reminder. Ideally, you want to be in this contented, this feeling of contentment. So there is no feeling of, I need this, or I'm lacking that. And also, you don't want to be feeling, I'm frightened of this, I'm fearful that's going to happen to me, or this is going to happen to me, or all these sort of things. Just be in the moment. Everything else is a potential. But this is a world stage, and it is done in stages. It is done in stages that is not too much for you. It's never going to be an overload. And it's no good trying to think your way by leaning into it and trying to project yourself into it. Let it come to you. But just observe what is being presented. And I really do hope that you can find and are able to see the beauty in the timing. So hopefully that has helped. I'm sorry it's a little bit muddled, but I'm still processing. But I wanted to share this because the more you are open and the more you have gained, the challenges and presentations will appear to be harder, but from that you'll also know that you are progressing. because you're not being caught out. You're not taking these bad scripts. This is a world stage. A good actor will use discernment and will have a look at that script and see if it is a part worth playing. You don't have to accept any of these material realm scripts, and certainly if they do not serve you. Because just like an actor, if you take a bad script, that is the death of your career, as it were. And do you really want to be in a negative, fearful state, or would you rather be in a tranquil, contented state? Because at the other extreme, you don't want to be on the pendulum and looking for that ultra positive elation, because that cannot be maintained. That will then have a pendulum swing, because it is an extreme. So the pendulum will swing the other way, and you'll have what's that saying, the Einstein one, an equal and opposite reaction. So if you are in this high love and light positivity, well, are you surprised if you're going to be shown the total contrast of that? You're dealing with a neutral field. It will present everything to you. But it is down to you within inside yourself to find that neutrality to it all, and then just see and observe the wonder of it all, and that it can't affect you unless you allow it into your field. But do you really want to import the negatives? That, of course, is down to free will, but for what it's worth, my experiences be neutral to it all, and just see this wonder and appreciate that really this experience we call life, from birth to death, is the high point. It's amazing how many people are very dissatisfied with this reality and don't want to be in this reality, but there are an awful lot of souls who probably would love to have the chance of having a physical experience, or maybe another physical experience. Few things to ponder and weigh up within inside yourself. So I will say love to you all, and find that present in you are a presence, so be in the present. Don't be stuck in the past. Don't be looking into a possible future, because you're going to be throwing your energy into either thing. It's going to be drawing your energy, which is energy that you could use to just maintain being contented. Ta-ta for now.